Okay, great. Welcome everybody. It's exciting that you could be here tonight. This event tonight is with Evolution. Mayor and I go back many, many years. And this summer we got to spend some time together and we were talking about CHYE and what it stands for, its mission to inspire a new generation of entrepreneurs and across all the different industries, and e-commerce is definitely right now very hot industry, especially for the Jewish community. It's a tremendous amount of people that are into e-commerce and are finding success in e-commerce. And of course, the number one important thing in an e-commerce business, the first step is you have to have a product to sell. That's, then there's getting on the platform. Once you have a product, everything else is more or less details. But that product, having that unique product that you could sell at a better price, or so on and so forth, than the competitors, that is the secret sauce, to use the right word, of having an e-commerce business. And so Mayor said that he told me that as a person who's built a successful e-commerce business, he has a lot of thoughts to share on how to develop strategies. So I just want to lay the groundwork, and he's going to repeat it. Unfortunately, we can't hand anyone a magic wand, do this and kaboom, miracles are going to happen. It doesn't work that way, not in life and not in anything else, The best that we could do is share ideas. That's what tonight's class is going to be, general ideas, how to go about looking. It's a avodah. Sometimes you find things right away, sometimes you find things through your experience, sometimes you have to hunt. But you got to search for the product. You got to evaluate the product, and there's a lot of thoughts and a lot of strategy that goes into it, and that's what tonight's class is, to discuss strategies around how to develop, a strategy. Strategies to develop a strategy to select and find product that you could then turn around and, the miracle of e-commerce has been that it created a platform. You have the product, the customers are coming. So without further ado, I'd like to call up Mayor Mandel to share the kavod.
Thanks, Rabbi, for Thank you, Rabbi, for such a wonderful introduction. I want to start off tonight by telling each and every one of you that the first step of success you've taken, which is doing something. It's all great and good to want to do e-commerce, to talk about doing e-commerce, but to actually get out of your house, go somewhere, and do something is the biggest step. And even after you start, that remains true every second of every day of running your business. So before I start on the details of ideas and everything, I want to give you guys a little background as to where and how I got started. I was in yeshiva when I was 18 years old, and I wasn't really enjoying it so much. I wasn't really, I was doing well. I was in college at the same time. It was okay. But one day someone told me, he's like, listen, I see that you're pretty much wasting time there. Why don't you come work for me in B&H? He was a sales manager of B&H at the time. He asked me to come join him, and I was like, what? Seems like an interesting opportunity. Let me jump in. And I tried that. I tried a few different things in B&H. I spent about 10 years there. The last 5 years I spent doing their house brands, which is basically I would look for products in China, and we would brand it under one of the many B&H brands, and we would sell it, and with each product with varying levels of success. After a while, I was thinking, okay, I should do this myself, but I was like, I only know how to do it for B&H, so I don't know what to do. So I went to work for another company, and I kind of learned a little bit on the distribution side. And then one day, an opportunity presented itself, and I decided to start my own business at that point. And personally, I started together Amazon and B&H at the same time. And then that's my background. I've been doing that now for about 2 years almost, and thank God we've built it into a fairly successful company, and it's been a journey. So that's a little bit of my background. Now, e-commerce is a very broad category. Saying you want to get into e-commerce is like saying I want to open up a store on Kingston Avenue, right? So you can open a clothing store, you can open a restaurant, you can open a grocery store. There's a lot of different things that you can do. Each one of those specific businesses has their own way of running, their own way of getting product and creating product. Some people are creators, other people are just selling the product. Some people are just helping existing businesses sell their products in a better way. So there's multiple ways in e-commerce to build a business. And even in Amazon has probably several hundred categories, and in each one of those categories, the business is run differently, and the way what you need and how you do it and is all very different. So the first step really in starting your Amazon business or your e-commerce business is really identifying your talent. Like, what is it that your value add? What's your value add to this business? Now, you think maybe I'm not so talented. Maybe every single person has a talent. Every person has a specific thing that they're very good at. And in my experience, what I've noticed so far is that particular talent is generally that talent and your worst quality are both the same thing. They're always the same. So if you think you have no talent, but you think you have something that you do really bad, that's probably your talent too. So everyone has a talent, everyone has an ability to do something. So that means that you have the ability to offer value to any category, any business within Amazon. So if you have something of value to add, so people are going to be willing to offer their products to you to sell. So you would think that, if I have money, it's not just about money, it's not just about your ability to market, it's not just your ability to find product, it's what you can do with the product afterwards. And there's a lot of strategies and different ways to go about this. And what I would say is the most important thing is that every morning you enjoy what you do. So when you go ahead and you decide this is what I want to do, think about it, you're going to be doing it for a while and you're going to be doing it every day and you want to enjoy it. You don't want to just, I'm not saying that there won't be days that are hard, but for the most part, you want to enjoy what you do. And in Amazon, the way you structure your business and the way you strategize how to go to the next level is going to be based on, most of the time, on your personality, what you like to do, what you don't like to do, how you set that up. And I've talked to tens, if not hundreds, of people that have Amazon businesses, and each one of them runs it completely different. And if you look at the person who's running it, you'll see that the business runs exactly to their personality most of the time. If they're people that are very number oriented and they want to know exact details, they'll run their business that way. If they're people that are more a little bit loose, their business will run that way too. So there's a lot of ways to structure that business, and that's what's going to make a difference in how you pick your product and how you source. So I would break it down into three different things I'm going to talk about three different strategies for finding product, and each person to whatever they think they're most suited for. And then there's other ones. These are just three that I personally have used and find very, very useful. The first one is your ability to source product. Now, what does that mean? There's product everywhere, right? You can walk into any store and buy product, right? So you have the ability to buy product everywhere, and there's places where it can be sold. So the question is, how do you go about finding your first product? It's funny, the first product that I found actually was in this way. I was reading one of the blogs that I enjoy reading, and they announced a new product. It wasn't like something super, it wasn't like the new iPad or the next I don't know, any of the major products, the new GoPro. It was a simple accessory. I thought it was very cool. And I wanted to buy it, so I started looking for it. I couldn't find it anywhere. So I sent them an email, and I'm like, look, I like your product. I know a few places that it can be sold, and that's how I found my first product. So if you look for those opportunities, and they're everywhere. They're everywhere. It could be someone you know. Maybe you know someone who works in the grocery business, and you're someone who's into health, for example, right? And you know that it's very hard to find a particular health product that you always want to use, and it's never available. So find that product, find out where it comes from, which is fairly simple. Today, between Google and YouTube and a million different sources, it's very easy to find the product. Once you find that product, then you have your niche, your area where you can sell into, and those products keep coming. That's something that every business is constantly running. You're always looking for the next product, the newer product, and what's next. And as you build up those different relationships over time of where you're buying product, more products will come along with them. So that's one way. Just finding something that's not there and bringing it to that market. Now, sometimes there's another way. Let's say you have a particular talent, for example, for marketing. Right? Let's say you think you have a very good way of presenting product to people, and whenever you talk or whenever you write an email or whenever you post on Facebook, you get a lot of likes, and people listen to what you have to say. You have a good way of presenting things. So that's what we call a value add. So if you go, for example, you can even go on Amazon and say and look at products and say in a category that you like or you enjoy or you have good knowledge of, and you can reach out to the manufacturer and say, hey, I see that your product is ranked, and look, some things I'll say are, let's say, a little more technical. As I was saying before, there's Google and YouTube, and all those things are in-depth explained there. So if you look at a product that's not ranked very high on Amazon, which means it's not visible, it doesn't have the visibility, and you have a talent for creating visibility, or you have a talent for figuring out how to create visibility, then you can reach out to any company out there and say, hey, I see that, this product is on Amazon, it looks terrible, there's only like a half a picture, and the writing is in Portuguese, and you're selling in the U.S. and people, no one's finding the product. Let me offer to help you guys out, and that may be one route. The other route is maybe you have a passion for a particular category. Maybe you really like guns. Let's say guns is not a good example for Amazon because they don't let. But fishing. Let's say you enjoy fishing very, very much, and you know everything about fishing, and you constantly fishing, right? So if you have some kind of audience that you can offer it to, you can trade that. There's always something of value that you can trade with a manufacturer of a product to get them to sell you the product. And people are always looking for that new way to reach a customer at every company, whether it's someone who sells $100,000 a year on Amazon to Apple. They're always looking for new ways to reach customers. They're always creating new ads, new ways to reach more people. And if you have a particular interesting way, that could be a huge value add for most companies. A second example of this idea of a value add would be, let's say it's a foreign company, right? And they may make a great product, and for whatever reason, maybe because you're tuned into that industry or it's something that you're passionate about, you've come across it, but you see that it's not easily available. So that's another way. That's one of those ways to find things. The last thing is, this is an interesting one, and this is a little bit more of like a secret. And a lot of people have built big Amazon businesses based on this. Whenever you buy a product online, there's always other things that complement it very well, right? And a lot of people don't really think through how to sell more. For example, someone who, it's a bad crowd for this, but someone who's buying a razor blade, right? Yeah, or a razor. Generally, they'll want to buy a shaving cream, right? They kind of go together. You don't really use one without the other. So if you were to pair those two items together, you would probably get a much faster sell-through with less effort on that particular product. So if you could go ahead and if you can come up with different strategic ways of pairing different products together, which it really goes back into the marketing, but sometimes look, those are very obvious ones, but sometimes the pairings aren't so obvious to each other. And if you have that ability to see those, because you're tuned into that particular industry, and it could be, it's crazy because it could literally be anything. I mean, it could be. I mean, there's people that have businesses selling blinds online. You know what I mean? So it could be a blind. It could be a bookshelf together with a picture frame. I mean, all kinds of different things. The most random. One of the things I like to tell people really is, anything you see anywhere, any item, anything or idea, someone's making money off of it. The chair you're sitting on, the subway train, someone made money making them. So there's always a customer for pretty much anything. If someone's making it, there's a customer for it. And it's just, I can't tell you what you know. I could spend time with each one of you individually and, kind of pick your brain and get an idea of what you're passionate about, but figure out what you're super passionate about, whether it's video games or books. Actually, my dad's very passionate about books. When he was in Stanford, he learned how to fix books, like use books and really like fix them. They look brand new. It's amazing. It doesn't exist. Very few people do that today. But he can take a book that looks like it's completely destroyed and make it look brand new. Which seems like not such a great talent in today's world of e-readers and iPads and phones. But what he did is he goes to bookstores, finds beat up books, puts them back together, and sells them on Amazon. Saying, not something you wouldn't really think about. Like, literally, you can go on the street, people are selling books for $1, and you can make them look brand new again and sell them on Amazon. Very random, very not something you would think of. And when he actually sits down and does it, he actually makes some very decent money. I mean, some of the books he's bought for $1 sold them for $200-300 in foreign countries. I mean, like literally, like he spent, let's say, $1 on the book and $3-4 fixing the book up, and then he sold it for $200 to someone in the UK who had some nostalgic, they had some kind of feeling for that book. And that's the cautionary tale. Look, my dad's retired and he doesn't have to do it, but he definitely likes buying the books more than he cares to sell them. So we have piles and piles of books lying around, and everywhere. I mean, in the car, in the office, but yeah. So literally, and I can't stress that enough. You think that there's things that you do every day, and you don't even think about them at all. Like, just every person, literally, there's something that you probably are either passionate about or knowledgeable about, and to you it may seem like the most random thing, but remember this: something that you're interested in, that you have a big knowledge about, doesn't mean that anyone else in the world may have the same amount of knowledge or care the same amount for it. And what to you seems obvious, which is a lesson I always have to tell myself, there's a lot of things that seem very obvious to me. They're really not obvious to other people. They're not. They're just, people don't see the same. Every person sees things very, very differently. And if you take that uniqueness in you, that to present a particular thing differently to people, that is your biggest value add, and that's how you can really be successful. Now, most of you probably have this idea of e-commerce business. If you know where to buy the product, that's what's gonna solve the issue. Today's world, you have Alibaba, you have emails and LinkedIn and a million places where you can go and find products. Products are everywhere. So the main thing is your ability to move them and your ability to offer value add. The big brands are all putting gates around people getting their hands on the product. They're not looking for more people to have the product. And if they're giving someone their product, they want you to be doing something with it. There has to be something that they get out of it. Because if not, there's really no need to have 20 people selling a product on Amazon. So that's and on all of those targets that I just spoke about are about existing brands that are on Amazon, or are not on Amazon, and that you want to add. Now, there's another way, which is a little bit more complicated. It's about creating a product. Now, there's different ways to create products. You can create a product that is already existing, but one way or another you make it better. However, it could be the tiniest thing. It could be, I don't know, let's say a tire gauge, right? Tire gauges, when you're trying to see what it is, it's very hard to see what they are. So if you make just a bigger screen, there's people that make their living on making items with bigger screens or bigger numbers, so that you can see what's going on. So again, that's something that you have to invest heavily in, or not so heavily, depending on how much you want to get started. Generally, to start with a product, you have to order a few thousand pieces. It's a little more risky, but then the reward is a lot stronger, and also your supply of the product is much steadier. So again, everything is risk reward, and I'll come back to the risk reward. But the other thing I want to tell you is your network of people where you can find product is much larger than what you think. When I first started, I was constantly looking for new products. Today, I think all our products come either from referrals or customers coming to us telling us, look, we want this product and you find it for us. So your relationships are extremely, extremely important.
They ask you that on Amazon? They ask.
Absolutely. Where I am today, yes, they asked me to bring. For example, I got off the phone yesterday with the buyer for the camera department. He's like, listen, I want to add 3,000 new SKUs before the holiday's over. Can you do that for me? And he gave me the parameters of what he wanted. Which, because I've already proven myself to have certain abilities, people now reach out to me for those things. Now, that's a whole next level. You're not, maybe not, that with Amazon it's next level. In theory, it could be, you could have that now. You may have relationships with businesses that are looking for particular things, and if you have the ability to bring it to them, you're saving the guy time from having to search for it. He might be willing to buy it from you. So there's a lot of different ways to find those products. And again, for example, like something I would do is if I had a customer that wanted to buy a few thousand pieces of something, I would say, look, I would go to that company and say, hey, if you want me to sell to these guys, you need to give me Amazon as well. Let me sell on Amazon as well. And most companies will say okay to that. So really, there's so many different approaches to how you can find product and how to create product. And for even more, like today, Amazon is going even into services. So like, let's say you know 100 plumbers. I don't know, you're in the plumbing association for whatever reason, and Amazon, and let's say a lot of these people are not as tech savvy as you are. You can offer all these people and say, look, Amazon offers a certain amount of money. They offer services now. So like, let's say someone buys a toilet on Amazon, they'll also sell them the install. Right? You can offer that service online, and you don't have to do anything. All you have to do is make the call to the person, you get it to them, and that's it. So the product that you can sell in e-commerce today is tremendous, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a physical product. There's also services. Everything is a product that can be sold in e-commerce today. Now, going back to that risk reward, there's a book that I highly recommend, and you probably heard it a million times, called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And in there he says, my poor dad would say, that's too risky, we won't do that. The rich dad would say, how do I manage that risk? So everything has a risk reward, and it's just a question of managing the risk and making sure that you cover as much of the risk as possible so that you can take care of things. And just a couple of tips on like finding about your network. You have friends, family that work in businesses. They have connections. They know people. And it doesn't have, when I say connections, I don't mean they don't have to know Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton. They may know the person, one of the salespeople in charge of a particular company, just a salesperson, and that person has the decision-making power of letting you become an Amazon seller for them. Could be something as simple as that, or it could be your cousin is a janitor somewhere and he knows the buyer because he says good morning or brings him coffee every morning. The opportunities are everywhere. One of the bigger accounts that I found, I was literally standing actually it wasn't me. One of the biggest marketing opportunities we had, me and my partner was running down an elevator, and he started schmoozing with the guy in the elevator, literally 3 minutes. And turns out this person is in charge of all the all the big YouTube reviewers for a particular company. And now we're supplying all those people to do reviews on all our products. A 3-minute conversation in an elevator, someone who seemed totally unimportant, and it really created, so opportunities are everywhere. Like, the person sitting next to you right now may be your future partner in an Amazon business. The opportunities are literally everywhere. Friends, family. Besides that, let's say you're particularly attuned to a particular category. If you're already there, you probably know some experts in that field. It could be any field. It doesn't matter what it is. You could reach out to them, and I'm sure that those people know someone. And just having a conversation, explaining them what you want to do. And again, this goes back to value add. If you're trying to get a particular thing, then your ability to add a value add will get you much further in getting those products.
So make that practical. I mean, for most people, the value add, they're just going to say, we're going to offer it on Amazon.
But what does offer in so again?
Saying this, most people here in the supermarket, I envision they would like to sell something on Amazon.
So if you again,
the value add you're offering.
The value add, again, as I was saying, the value add could be almost anything. It could be that you have some cash, and the people that are trying to sell this product don't have money and need help financing. You think financing means that you have to give someone $100,000. Some people don't have $2,000-$3,000. They have an idea. If you buy some of that product from them, or you get 3 of your friends to buy that product together, you guys can be the exclusive seller on Amazon for that. Again, value add is if you reach out to a foreign company that you think has a good product, they don't speak English, you write up the products for them. That's a value add. It literally, any product anywhere can be sold, and I can't go into specific detail because I think Amazon today has close to 40 million individual SKUs, and in hundreds of categories. So to go into a specific thing is nearly impossible. I would have to sit and say, okay, what are you interested in? What do you like? What do you know? Figure that out. I'm giving you the same things I would ask you. What do you like? What do you know? And how, and come and start looking for products that fit into that. Something that you know. Don't try to go into something that you don't know. It's very complicated to go into and when I say something that you know, most of you you know something well. Everyone knows something they have an interest in, they spend time looking
Flip
at.
that around. Someone once told me that the best way is look for the best selling categories and then try to find the items that are a little cheaper and then try to sell them.
So that's arbitrage, and it's a terrible idea. It's the worst idea ever. I think I lost.
Yeah, what wasn't our best moments, but it's not all bad though.
What did we? Okay.
You're always bad 100, right?
I think to start with, to take risks on arbitrage at the beginning is not the best way to do it. If you have access to those products and you think it's a great idea, no problem. It's a limited product with limited lifespan, and you have to work much harder on it.
So I was once somewhere where someone basically said, look at what's selling hot. Go on Newegg. Go on, find 5 items, that fit those popular categories. Buy them for cheaper. Sell them for sell them at $10 more. Slowly you start building up.
So 10 years ago. So 5 years. 5 years, 10 years ago, maybe you could have pulled that today. And I'm talking. I did arbitrage. I've done arbitrage on Apple stuff. And you can lose your pen. We probably, this month I lost $60,000.
Doesn't matter.
It does matter.
It doesn't matter.
Sure it does. It's just a lesson. Literally $60,000.
Well, no, Sean. Doesn't matter. We're flies on the wall. That's what
Very loud flies.
That's it.
Okay. But yeah, so it's just to illustrate the point. You can make it work. There's ways to make that work. Just I think to start on stuff like that is very risky, and I wouldn't recommend it. There are people that recommend it. I don't recommend it. I think it's
Just on that, the skill in that is not finding the product, it's making it sell. And the skills required to make that sell very well are very, very convoluted and detailed. So it's not so simple as, hey, that's a tire gauge that's selling for 10, let me go find it in China for $1, I'm gonna sell and undercut the guy. Because the guys you're undercutting have a lot more money than you, they've done it a lot more, and they have a much better bandwidth of how they're doing it. It's not so scary. Especially today, Amazon's constantly changing policies to fight that and combat that. Because the guy who came up with the product originally, he's complaining. And Amazon's starting to listen, and they're making it a little bit harder to do that. Just a little bit. But that's it. But you're right, that is one way to get an idea of a product. Or make it better, like we were saying before.
right. So value. Look for the value add. If you're looking to just do retail arbitrage, you're always chasing the next thing, and it's very easy to get stuck with a product. Very, very easy. It goes back to what I was saying before. If you take a product and you don't have a value add, which means that you can't sell, you're not making it sell better. There's no reason for anyone to give it to you. So they're giving it to you because they just want to get rid of it or make a quick dollar. They're not giving it to you out of the goodness of their heart. Because most people today, the average company can list a product on Amazon. It's not difficult. That's the easiest part. The difficult part is making it move and making it sell. So if you have that value add for whatever it may be, again, if it's not available, if it's look for a reason why you're valuable to that product. If you just look for that quick product, very hard to sell today, especially because everyone's doing it. Literally everyone's doing it. Every mom, every soccer mom, every kid in yeshiva, everyone's doing it. If you want to be successful in it and really make money in the future, you want to find the value add. And I can't stress that enough. I know a lot of people are like, just try anything. No, don't just try anything. Find something, do it solid, build it well, and you'll have a successful thing. And if the complete exception is saying that there's no rule on this unless there's an exception to the rule, and you don't know anything, the internet is free pretty much, and you can learn about anything you want, anything. So you can literally take any category, any product, and learn everything about that thing just by reading reading online, watching YouTube. You have Lynda, which is like a place to learn different skill sets. And then, as I always say, my favorite resource is always friends and acquaintances. Never be ashamed to ask. Always ask. Most people are totally happy to spend 20-30 minutes with you and explain you a particular thing or product. So just to recap, if you take away anything, remember when you're looking for a product, look for that way to value add. Products are everywhere. To look for a specific thing, there's trade shows. There's so many things that you can do. Just try to be in a place where where you may find those products, whether it's online on Alibaba, whether it's at a trade show. And make sure you have value add, and you'll always have people coming, not just letting you have it, they'd be more than happy to give it to you. I think now we'll do some questions.
Okay.
If anyone has any questions.
Is Maya supposed to say something?
I thought I was talking tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Anyone have any questions, any specific ideas?
Specifically sourcing from China or any other foreign country, are there any pitfalls that someone who'd like to source should look out for?
Repeat the question, sorry.
Where do you start?
The question is if there's any pitfalls from buying things in China or places like that. Yes, absolutely there are pitfalls. Now, there's ways to mitigate against it, and it depends on your particular thing. So, what I would tell you is, if you want to look for a particular product, try to find reputable companies. There's a lot of different ways to check today, especially because everything's online. I believe in as I was saying before, I really believe in relationships and building relationships with people. So if you want to do China appropriate, like in a safe way, there's always going to be risk. Try to find people either on Alibaba or people that have used it before. You'd be surprised at how many people you know that may have an acquaintance in China within your social circle, and try to see maybe they've already used a particular factory or so. And again, there's a lot of ways to mitigate. So you have, like, for example, when you're ordering, most of the time you only pay a certain percentage up front, and then you can get things checked out. On the flip side, I'm a little bit more on the riskier. I like to play a little loose. Depending on look, let's say, it's funny. I was talking. Shmaya is my business partner, and we were discussing earlier about what's our success rate with choosing a product. So I would say the success rate is probably in the 20% range. If you think about, like, what we were discussing was baseball. If you think about baseball, so someone who bats .325, right, which is about 32%, is an excellent player. So if you're hitting 30% of your trials or of the products that you bring in are successful, you're doing pretty well. This goes back to actually something called the Pareto principle, or also known as the 80-20 rule, which means 80% of your profit comes from 20% of your products, or even more, like 80% of your business comes from 20% of your customers. It's a well-known business rule. You can look it up, the Pareto principle. So what I would say is, if you want to start in China, try to not put all your eggs in one basket and try to manage your risk. Let's say if you're starting out with $10,000, I wouldn't say buy $10,000 of a specific product. Spend $1,000 or $2,000 on 5 products to mitigate your risk. Yep.
What was, your opinion, the most effective way to just advertise your products? What did you? I mean, it's a very general question, but what did you feel was what got out your product the most? What was most effective in terms of showing people what you got?
Repeat the question.
And let's say even social media.
So you're asking me what is the most effective way of marketing a product?
Yeah.
So that's a little bit more of a complicated question, because there's a lot of platforms today to market, including even in Amazon. There's actually 2 different platforms you can market on within Amazon, and it depends on your product. So if you look at, let's say, if you're marketing to a crowd of, let's say, 40 plus, they're on Facebook. If you're marketing to a crowd in their, let's say, 20s to 40s, they're probably more on Instagram or no, Snapchat is younger. And then your teens are on Snapchat. So if you're making something that's catered to teens, then you probably want to go on Snapchat. If you're advertising prune juice, you probably want on Facebook.
But they're all great ways.
But they all complement each other, and you should. if you don't have a strategy for a particular thing, it's gonna fall by the wayside. So you should think about each particular platform and have some kind of idea of how you wanna market it. There should be a comprehensive plan across all of them. If you choose to ignore it, it should be ignored because you chose to ignore it and not just ignored because you didn't think about it. It should be everything that you do should be an active choice. It should never be, well, I'm not gonna think about this. Or,
I just have a question.
Sure.
Someone is very new. What would you recommend? Like a website, meaning just how to go around the computer, how to put the item on Amazon. And just someone.
there's no, I
see-
wouldn't recommend a particular website.
How do you learn how to?
So
describe
the
the
website that I would
product?
recommend is google.com
Okay.
or Bing or any one of the search engines. Anytime I don't know, look, I'm very, very good with Excel. Like I'm excellent with Excel. I'm Excel ninja, yes. But there are still things that I don't know about. I literally come on either on Google or on YouTube and I'm like, how do you run a VLOOKUP? Like if I forgot how to do something. So literally any question that you have, if you type it into either Google or YouTube, you will get the answer with someone showing you step by step how to do it. If you don't, if it's not there, there's groups on LinkedIn, on Amazon. There's forums you can post and people answer all the time. There's a group on LinkedIn I'm very active on. I'm always commenting and answering questions for people that are just starting out on a different platform, not on Amazon, on a different platform.
Mm,
Is there a way to source product drop shipping, say for eBay?
Absolutely. There's
Is there any way you could recommend?
so it really goes to the same thing.
What's the question?
The question was how to source product for drop shipping. Again, and I want to be clear, sourcing a product for anything and for any business, it doesn't matter whether it's an online business or not online drop ship or stock. The strategy is always the same. It's about being able to get your hands on the product. Getting your hands on the product, 99% of the time is about value add, or it's your product, you created it. So it really goes back to value add. Now, there are ways to exploit things. So like there's a lot of companies that are not tech savvy, and that's a value add. If you know a company that has an excellent product, you can say, look, I'll do you do the shipping, I'll send you the orders, let me do it. And there's hundreds of thousands of companies that are not tech savvy, and you just gotta find them. Let's say if I was starting today, I would walk into any random store, look for a product that I thought was amazing, and see if it's on. It has to be a little obscure, obviously, because if it's a major brand, they already probably have a strategy. So you're looking for something unique, different, and is not super popular yet. So you're looking for that in-between stage, especially for dropship. Because basically your value add is that they don't know how to use the internet and you're showing them how to do it. Outside of that, I don't see why anyone needs a dropshipper.
One question. And what do you recommend? Just starting Amazon over eBay, or like what would be the difference?
So the question was Amazon over eBay.
Yeah.
Again, this is all personal opinion because I don't think one platform is better than the other. They're different. Whichever one you're more comfortable in. Really, like whatever you find easier and you feel that you can navigate and do that one. And then you could, because you're not, just because you start with eBay doesn't mean you're excluding Amazon, or if you're starting with Amazon doesn't mean you're excluding eBay. It's just a place to get started. And I can't, on that, don't give up. There's going to be successes, there's going to be failures. Keep at it, keep trying. and really don't give up just because you get a no. Doesn't there's companies that I've wanted to work with for years, and I think I flew to visit them 3 or 4 times, and nothing, and literally like after 2 years of like building a relationship, I finally was able to. They finally started doing business with me. So just because just because it didn't pan out right now doesn't mean that it won't pan out for you in the future. Shmaya, you want to tell the camera company that we were? Yeah.
So that's one aspect of what Mayor and I are doing.
Shmaya, come.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna say that.
Come, no, because camera.
Oh, no. I have to make sure that. So one aspect of what Mayor and I do, and Leivik Herzl is with us as well, is we are importers and distributors of products, and we get them into retail stores. Primarily, our focus is camera and photo. So B&H Photo, Adorama, those are all one of our customers. So going on what Mayor said about value add, we always know that we have a value that no matter who the manufacturer is and the type of product that they manufacture, if it's in camera and photo, we can get them in B&H Photo like that. We can get them accessorized. You can't hear me? So we had this one brand that came out with a great innovative product. I saw them on Indiegogo. They had a lot of followers. A lot of people signed up, a lot of backers. So we reached out to them like, hey, your product is perfect for B&H Photo. Let us help you get you in. They're like, we want to try to see if do it ourselves. Give us, we're not sure, but help us out on the Amazon side. We helped them a little bit on the Amazon side. And, we kept the conversation going. But I knew that I had the value, that we had the value that we could provide for them. So we were patient. 2 months went by. Their product still wasn't posted on B&H Photo. So called them up again. I'm like, hey, we're here. Let me help you. They're like, yeah, I'm talking to the buyer. The email conversation is going a little bit slow. But, we're waiting, we're trying. And then, obviously, another month went by. They weren't in. So we called them up again. We're like, hey, this is what we do. Let us help you. Let us do it. This actually occurred Thursday night. Leivik and I worked on it, and it's already in B&H's system today. So it's going to get posted on the website. But that kind of goes back to what Mayor said, which is the value add. There was something that we knew that we could do for them, and that's something that we didn't give up on. So even though the manufacturer at the time was like, no, I can do it myself, it doesn't seem so hard, I kept at it. We kept contacting them, we kept in touch, and I was patient, because I knew that was a value that I had, and so far that worked out. So that was that point.
So Shmaya is the CEO of the business. So if you have questions on how to practically
Yeah, I
run
can-
stuff,
I can address
really
all
how
the
to do
technical
things,
stuff.
how to be detail oriented. He's the man to ask
And
all those
Mayor and I
questions.
didn't always see eye to eye. So right off the bat, on your Amazon and eBay question, I would tell you the answer is Amazon. Simply because fundamentally the difference between the two, Amazon is a catalog listing with multiple sellers selling on the same listing. eBay is each seller selling an individual listing. So if you have one product with 10 people selling the same product, you're competing against 10 different listings on eBay. And your listing has to stand out, it has to be better content, everything has to be better on that listing. On Amazon, to list a product is one of the easiest things to do. It's sell on Amazon, put in your pricing information, your inventory, some cute little snippet about you as a seller, and then it's, competing with other people. In addition, there's many advantages and many softwares, which is something where when you're trying to scale your business and look at, which is what we're going to talk a lot of tomorrow, you want to be able to list your product that you're selling on Amazon, and you have, let's say, how many people here actually have an active Amazon business? How many of you use FBA? How many of you sell products outside of just Amazon FBA with your FBA inventory? There you go. So you have inventory sitting there. It's not solely dependent on that one Amazon listing to sell your FBA inventory. There are softwares out there that from that FBA listing that you have, it can list on multiple different platforms. When an item sells, we'll ship it from your FBA inventory. That's literally one of the easiest ways to scale. And most of the softwares, going back to your original question, work that way. They work Amazon to eBay. There's not that many softwares that work the other way around, because it's much easier to, this is a term called scraping. It's much easier to scrape an Amazon listing than an eBay listing. So that's on that end.
Doesn't Amazon have more control over what you do rather than eBay?
Yes and no. eBay still does mandate and control, but as far as, well, I would turn the question back on you, define control. Because control is, you can't go and create an Apple iPhone listing on eBay, even that there's still limits of control
I mean,
and trademark.
If you want to stand out with your value-added blogs and recommendations and approvals from customers, so that you get more stand out on eBay rather than on Amazon.
Correct. That absolutely. But that also depends on what the value add is, because when you think Amazon product, there's Amazon products that you yourself are selling individually, and then there's competing. Traditionally, if you're just talking about the nature of the business where Yaakov buys 1,000 products and he sold half of them to Beryl, and Beryl sold Shmuley 20 of it to send FBA, that's not really what our focus is, because I'll be honest, no one wants to be Beryl. No one wants to be the guy that bought the 20. Everyone wants something a little bit unique. You want something to stand out. And I feel like that's what everyone's looking for. You don't want to be the next guy that gets the leftovers. You want to find out what it is that your niche is. And kind of touching on what Mayor said is find what you like, because if you enjoy what you like and you're focused on that category, you'll be excited about the products. And you can look at trade shows. So let's just pick a random category. Let's just call it, I don't know, kitchen, right? There's tons of trade shows annually about kitchen, that tons of companies and manufacturers are coming out with new innovative products for kitchen, and they're not all on Amazon, because you'd be surprised, most of the world is not yeshiva students that are just crazy about Amazon. It's actually funny, this morning we had a meeting with the B&H buyer, and he was telling Mayor and I that, he's in Shul on Shabbos, and he hears a bunch of this, the younger guys talking, and he's like, everyone that he knows, all the younger guys, have an Amazon business or work for a guy with an Amazon business. And he's like, that's the young guys today. So, but you'd be surprised outside of our sect, in the vast world that's out there, not many people know anything about Amazon. So you can literally go online, find any of these trade shows, and you see all the exhibitor lists, and you can start looking for innovative products and contact the manufacturers and say, hey, I see this Yugi Jama cutting board. It looks amazing, but it's not on Amazon. Why don't I help you build up your Amazon listing? And manufacturers are always looking for those kind of opportunities. And to find those kind of categories in those trade shows, Google.
Would they usually pay to up the listing?
You can ask them.
Would they?
Yeah, ask. Yeah, because you're right. Not every there's two things. Not every manufacturer is actually looking for a guy. Okay, I'll take it a step back. Every manufacturer is looking for that magical golden goose who's going to buy all the inventory and make them rich. Okay, doesn't always happen. So if you're providing a value add for them, and you can say, hey, I don't have cash to lay out for your inventory, but we can work out a payment structure that whatever percentage of sale that I generate, you help me. Most manufacturers will work with you for that, because they're motivated to move their product. They're motivated to get their products out there, and also understand that they're usually passionate about what they built, what they designed. They invented this innovative cutting board that makes smoothies while you cut. I don't know, but they spent a lot of time on it. That's their baby. So anyone who gets into their product, and that's what Mayor said, if it's a category that you're interested in, then you're going to share that interest, and you're going to share that excitement, and you're going to help them promote that. So any other questions?
How do you, in that scenario, how do you know what the company's actually selling that you should get a commission on?
No, he's talking about if you're contacting the manufacturer that's not on Amazon. You say you're going to put them on Amazon, create the listings for them, and you're managing the account for them. You can manage the account for them. Or you're selling it under your
You're
seller
a salesman for them?
Yeah, you can be a salesman for them. You can create an Amazon account. With Amazon, you can create users. So you can create an Amazon account for them. You just make yourself a user. You can have even depending on how it's structured, which is getting a little bit specific, but you can have the money go through them and you control the account.